The first modern electric guitar was made by a drum company. Let me show you. This, made by Slingerland from 1936 to 1939, is their budget model Maybell version of the Slingerland 401, which was their first Spanish electric guitar. They also made a model 400 lap steel version, and they made that for Maybell as well. Now, by no means was Slingerland the first company to make an electric guitar. Vivatone and Rickenbacker both predate the 1936 release of the Slingerland 401 and its Maybell counterpart. And even Stromberg Voisinet is rumored to have made electric guitars. I don't think I've ever seen an existing example, but I've seen an advertisement. And obviously, Rickenbacker's 1935 entry into the market with this Bakelite beauty is more modernistic. But when I say the Slingerland 401 and its Maybell counterpart are modern, I mean they most closely resemble what has become the ubiquitous design for electric guitar for the last 90 years. And that's why Fender is sending them a cease and desist letter this week. JK. A magnetic pickup, a rosewood fingerboard, a solid wood body, and in this case, it is a neck-through design, meaning this piece of wood carries through the entire body. And Vivatone can claim the record for earliest solid body guitar, but their bodies are known as skeleton bodies because it's just a thin, like 3 or 4 millimeter shape of an instrument on top of what is ostensibly a neck. Kind of like Les Paul's log, but even less concealed as a guitar. Now, Slingerland is obviously best known as a drum manufacturer, but they actually started out as a banjo company when Henry Slingerland, I think it was Henry, something with an H, won a music publishing company in a card game on a gambling boat on Lake Michigan. They went on to produce their own instruments, mainly banjos, but also some guitars in the 1930s before ceasing production on musical instruments in 1940 and concentrating solely on drums. Amusing side note, it is reported that Henry Slingerland, hopefully his name is Henry and I'm not getting it wrong every time, started making drums out of spite after the Ludwig and Ludwig company started making banjos and stepping on his toes. Now, generally speaking, Maybell was Slingerland's lower end model, basically their version of Fender's Squier, but there are exceptions. Namely, the Slingerland Maybell Recording Master, which was their fanciest and most expensive acoustic guitar of the era. The fully celluloid-clad Maybell Recording Master cost the exact same amount as the Slingerland 401 Electro-Spanish guitar at $75. If you bought the amp with the guitar and the case, $150. This guitar has a complete 2-part restoration video if you want to check that out. It is a 19 fret guitar with about a 24 3/4 inch scale length. There is no intonation on the bridge, and the tailpiece is a chopped off trapeze tailpiece made by the Slingerland company. You can see there are the little holes on either end for the legs of the trapeze. The pickup is the ubiquitous Chicago pickup of the 1930s. You see these on K's and Regals, and I'll open this up and show you, but this is actually a dummy blade, and this blade is steel. These are 2 steel blades. There's magnets stuck in between the 2, and there's 1 coil on one side. Unfortunately, when you get this far back in electronics history, there doesn't seem to be a standardized pot dating situation. And so we can only surmise on the date. There's no serial number on this guitar. The Slingerland versions appear to have a stamped serial number on the back of the headstock, but this has nothing. So we're probably only going to be able to estimate the date between the 36 and 39 it was in production. These Slingerland guitars are almost 2 inches thick. They're quite heavy, especially for their size. They're generally more than 7 pounds.
Bro thinks 7 pounds is heavy.
Bro needs to hit the gym.
This one you can see has had some modifications. Somebody decided to get a little bit more access to the frets and destroyed the original body. The veneer is peeling off and even replaced some of the veneer with some mahogany back here. I don't know if they inset the pickup into the body or if that was original, but it's cleanly done, so I'm guessing original. There is lots of fun evidence of hack work here. Looks like somebody put their own logo on here. I doubt it was an outside brand that ordered from Slingerland. And some little accent pieces. Obviously, these upside down mounted Japanese 1970s tuners are not original. This would have had plate tuners. And the veneer appears to be a quite plain piece of maple with some sort of amber shellac or something of the sort. I have been somewhat torn on what to do about it, whether to strip it down and fully restore it or leave all the character. I have a tendency to leave character on old instruments, but the modifications done to this kind of drive me a little insane, so we'll kind of decide as we go. The strings are hilariously phosphor bronze acoustic strings, which could not possibly have helped with the sound quality. There's a fun little friend. I'm currently at my sister's place, so let's see if we can find a flathead screwdriver. Lucky ducks. Looks era correct too. There's glue holding it in. Now the pots are much smaller than I was expecting, and it looks like some of the wiring's been squirreled with. This capacitor is enormous. The system for mounting the blade to the cover will prevent me from making this into a humbucker, as I was considering doing. This also would have had a steel cover over the pickup, and I actually have a spare one of those at home. The electrical tape around the bobbin is not something I have seen before on one of these pickups, so a lot's been messed with. The inside of these bobbins is frequently grounded to the pole blade piece as well through a brass inner core of the bobbin, but I'm not seeing that here. I'll be curious to see if any sound comes out of this. The tone cap is 0.1 MFD at 600 volts. Here we have the Maybell version of the Model 400 lap steel in quite nice condition. So this lap steel version gives us a better example of what the original burst would have looked like, the original finish, and the original tuners, which I've never seen another set quite like this. So we're gonna look for something era correct, but I don't think we'll find these if they are indeed the original. Side by side, you can really see what this one's been through over the years. And here is that spare chrome cover I was referencing. It was on an Oahu Islander that I converted to Spanish. Somewhere around here I've got a complete pickup from that era. This is actually the K version that had a chunk of raw magnet instead of two shaped pieces on either side. This is the bobbin I meant with the metal interior core that the inside of the coil is soldered to. And that would appear to be the wire on the outside of the coil. And because this set of blades has no mounting hardware, I might be able to convert this into a humbucker. I do feel like I should open up this lap steel to cross-check and see how the wiring is in here so that I can get it correct for the other one. if indeed this one is unmolested. Some angel in heaven flipped over the tailpiece so I can just pull out the strings, which on this guy are flat wounds. I wonder if I've got original knobs for this. As I was looking for that pickup, I put away a couple knobs, and this is turning into a comedy of wearers, as in errors, but with the word wear. There it is. Not seeing the right ones in here. Looking inside the Maybell lap steel, we see a much cleaner and all original wiring schematic. And you can tell that the routing is much tidier and more likely to be 100% original. The actual control plates are giving pot metal or magnesium. I don't know if I can find a crinkle paint that will quite look like this, but we'll see. From what I was able to ascertain online, the Q14 line is era appropriate for this 1930s guitar. But it looks like IRC had everyone beat when it comes to potentiometer diameter. Now we're picking up a 1.37k ohms from the guitar's pickup, but from the lap steel we're getting 3k ohms exactly. On these Slingerlands I've seen, they do have intonation, meaning there's compensation of the saddle. It's at an angle instead of straight, and it is turned in the other direction. Hey, hey, hey. Well, that's glued on there good. Oh, not that good. lap steel is missing a bunch of veneer near the base here, so I might try and get this off all in one piece with some heat. Now what I'm doing here is pretty extreme. I don't actually like removing any aspects of originality from an antique or an instrument, but in this case, I feel like a full restoration back to new is the right move. There's a certain kind of rare that means something's actually not worth that much because no one's looking for it, no one's interested. Even the Slingerland Model 401 is not highly desirable except for among a very small sect of us who actually care about early electric history and not just $150,000 Les Pauls and Stratocasters and Telecasters, etc. So the Maybell version, with very few examples, means there's no market value. Not that it has no value, but there's no known market value because so few of them exist. And if you look on Reverb right now, you'll see that there are a multitude of 401s, mostly being sold by Retrofret, and they keep dropping the prices and they never get bought. So clearly the price is not where they think it is, and the market for them is probably about 5 individuals, including myself. This is the kind of situation where the word rare can be supplanted with the word obscure. And even Slingerland collectors are very unlikely to collect lap steels or guitars, favoring instead banjos and even more likely drums. Let's see how our heat lamp is doing. You really shouldn't leave these unattended. Yeah, I'd say the heat was officially not useful, and that I might have had better luck just throwing this thing in the freezer instead. Oops. Because this area that was room temperature, the glue is remained brittle and much easier to split. Looks like we got some factory filler right there. I'm hot and I'm sweaty and this isn't going great. There's going to be some filler required. There's some chip out, pretty bad one there. Bizarrely, it seems like the only place in town to get my favorite wood filler, which is Famo wood, is an art supply store, so that's where we're going. I did not realize I'd be paying full price for a micro bottle, but I got it anyway. $12, $11. This is a water-based product, so I'm gonna try to blend this down and rehydrate it. But for the time being, I'll use this fresh stuff. Et voila. pick just fell out. Super thin. It says Bruno Flipper on it. Needless to say, I was not able to get this off in one piece. Given that 2 of the examples of this guitar I've seen are in Canada, I might have assumed that because it's a lower end model, more came to Canada because we have historically always been a little bit poorer. But this one I imported to Canada myself. I got it from Aidan Berry in Pensacola, Florida. He almost repurposed the pickup into a melody maker project he's working on. Check out his Instagram if you want. Let's get rid of this fretboard. And while that's heating up, I'm gonna see if I can get a reading out of this nice coil. There's only a tiny bit of the coil wire exposed there, so I'm gonna pull back this masking tape so I can get access to a little bit more. It's brittle old tape. I'm gonna try and solder that tiny little end to a piece of copper tape to give me more to work with, because the tape is not coming out easily. Now, some people say soldering a thin formvar wire like this will remove the insulation and give you a good contact. In my experience, you do have to sand off the insulation, but that's the issue, is I don't have room to do that. If I try to get at it, I'm more than likely going to break off the small nub I've got. So we're gonna try the magic trick of soldering. Hope for the best. It didn't work. Now, if you've wound or worked on pickups before, you know that this wire is less strong than human hair. And so pulling this tape to try to get to the wire is harrowing, but here it is. Okay, now I've got a bigger swatch out. I can sand off the insulation and try again. Without forgetting, of course, that I am in the process of heating up the fretboard. So we're gonna come give that a little bit more action. And even with the insulation removed, I am getting no reading. This is the reading from my K lap steel 2K. I'm not getting a reliable reading from my Oahu Islander, but I'm gonna check out the pickup because look at that. It actually has compensated pole piece to make up for the fact that different strings react differently to the magnet. Damn. That's a nice tidy wiring scheme. See, there's just one wire coming out of the coil. Everything's grounded to the plate, and so you need very little wiring. These are the output wires. Let's see if we can get a reading. 2.1K. I might steal this pickup for the Maybell. You might be wondering why I'm taking the fretboard off. I want these lines to be straight. When a guitar is modified and the fretboard overhang is a different width, it's one of my pet peeves. I'm gonna peel back the rest of this tape and see if we can find a break in the outer coil. And if so, might be able to salvage this one. So I don't have to steal from another one or do a rewind right now. It's always possible that in there, the inner side of the coil is no longer reliably soldered to the inside of the bobbin here. Nothing you can do about that, really. I could try to drip some solder down there, but that's probably asking for trouble. Slingerland being a drum company and not a guitar company means that they weren't using glues traditionally used for guitars, because this is not coming apart with heat like hide glue would, nor even wood glue. There's something about like piss glue, like Uriah or some shit. Maybe it's that. Anyone into drums know what kind of glue they use to stick the celluloid to the drums? Because I feel like it's probably the same stuff. Sometimes they come out smooth, sometimes they come out like that. Still shit. Now here are a couple I did with a small back bend to help with the chip out, because these particular frets have very deep tangs, but the burrs are at the very bottom to catch you off guard. Now most of the time your fretboard's still going to be on the neck and you can't do this, but this has been my best solution so far. Look, there's only one tiny chip out of that one. And this one's next. I am gluing these veneer pieces back in. With a super glue. A little bit of Teflon. Interesting. Those were actually inlaid. This stripped out screw looks problematic. Ooh, it turns. Love that. For the top, I'm not going to strip the veneer off. I'm just going to patch it and then glue the new veneer over top. I will have to re-veneer the neck, but that's fine because I'm probably going to remove some of the veneer as I level it. Now, of course, I'm veneering this, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's nice and flat now. All right, let's go get the veneer. Now, if I'm lucky, I can do a two-piece, but it's looking like it's a pretty tight squeeze. Let's see. Just shy. Plus, I need to joint them. My goodness, that's close. This morning, I had a revelation. And it reveled me in a very revealing way. Because the guitar gets a black burst around the edge, I don't really have to worry about the outside veneer looking perfect. So, great news. Now, as for joining the two pieces of veneer, I'm thinking I will clamp them to this piece of plexiglass and then sand and hope for the best. Not quite. Still a gap in the center, so I need to bring down the edges. I didn't actually check the trueness of the piece of plexiglass before I started, because I'm an idiot. I'll come back to that because I need to actually fix the top before I stick a veneer to it. And perhaps I'll experiment with the rear veneer before I venture to do the front veneer. I have very little veneer experience. I mean, I've veneered things, but with thicker pieces. And I'm going to attempt the method I've seen where you put wood glue on both surfaces and let it dry, and then iron them together. Now, I am not going to widen the neck back to its original width. Instead, I'm going to make the contours natural and smooth, and that requires me to replace a block of wood here as well and then carve it into shape. And when I have the router out, I'm going to route this down. I'm going to route this flat. I am going to route the base area flat, clean it all up, make it like new. Should I add a carbon fiber rod, I wonder? This is a very unimpressive piece of rosewood. Alas. Note how crazy this one piece of wood is. Look how dark it is on the inside there. Crazy, crazy, crazy. It's not leg day, it's router day. You can call me Elder Donny of the Church of Router Day Saints. First up, I'm gonna level this area out so I can fill it with a block. Wrong saw. It's tempting to consider adding a 1/4-inch jack, but I think that's straying a little too far from originality. Now I double-sided taped a straight edge here. I'm gonna clean this up, and I'll do the same on this side once this glue is dry. What's the old adage? Measure once, shame on you. Measure twice, shame on me. And I don't even think this cutaway is necessary. So for this piece, I'm going to plug it with a dowel. And so first I'm going to drill out a guide piece of wood so that I can drill straight there, exactly where I want it. Plug that up. The cracked area is going to be routed out anyway, so no big deal. Now there is something called wrinkle paint, but I've only seen it in red and black. So I think I'm going to go for hammered in brown. After a little sanding, it wouldn't surprise me if this could buff to a high polish. Now, normally I would go to my local hardware store to buy this paint, but I have $22 in credit at Canadian Tire. So we're gonna go there and pay basically just for the taxes on this paint. I also have $2 extra, so it might end up costing me very little. gonna shave down this fingerboard a little bit. To clear out the route for the pickup, I'm going to use a bottom bearing bit. Can I tell you a secret? This project is way too big for when I'm this far behind on my YouTube schedule. So it's gonna be a two-parter. I'm gonna switch over and do that Supro Bermuda next and then come back because this is gonna get lacquer and the lacquer takes quite a while to cure. Sear. Sorry. Can you see that? It's a little higher on the base side. There's a twist to the neck. This is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. All right, what a disappointing video. Everything looks significantly worse except for this. So, look forward to the next episode in the restoration of this rare 1930s Maybell by Slingerland electric guitar. And look out next week, hopefully in a week, for the Supro restoration video. If it goes smoothly, it should be out sooner than later.
This morning the sun and